Opener narration. The dream was never carried alone. I am Charles McClendon. Today we pause, not because the world has stopped moving, but because history is still speaking. Today we remember a man whose voice shook the conscience of a nation, a man whose dream refused to die even when hatred tried to silence it. We speak the name Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a preacher of peace in a time of rage, a messenger of love in a season of violence, a man who believed that justice was not a privilege, but a promise. But today, we go deeper than the podium, deeper than the headlines, deeper than the soundbites history made comfortable, because the dream you celebrate today was never carried by one man alone. Behind every march, behind every sermon delivered under threat, behind every night when the phone rang with death on the other end, there was a woman who held faith steady when fear tried to break it, a woman who raised children while raising a movement, a woman who stood strong when grief would have given her every reason to collapse. Her name was Coretta Scott King. She was not simply the wife of a leader, she was a leader, a classically trained singer who used her voice not for applause, but for purpose. A woman who understood that love is not passive, love is brave. When bombs shook their home, she did not retreat. When the threats came daily, she did not run. When the world took her husband, she did not allow the dream to be buried with him. She stood up, not in anger, but in resolve, and she carried the dream forward so the world would never forget what it cost to believe in equality. Today we honor the dreamer, but we also honor the keeper of the dream. Because movements don't survive on speeches alone, they survive on sacrifice. They survive on unseen strength, on late-night prayers, on silent tears wiped away before sunrise, on courage that never makes the history books. Martin gave the world his voice. Coretta gave the world endurance. Together they taught us something sacred, that real change is born not just from courage, but from commitment, not just from vision, but from love that refuses to quit. Their story reminds us that freedom is never handed down gently. It is carried, generation by generation, by ordinary people who choose extraordinary faith. And today, as we listen, as we reflect, as the music begins, may we remember this truth. The dream is not finished. It lives in every voice that still dares to speak truth, in every child who still believes tomorrow can be better, in every heart that chooses love over fear. This tribute is not just remembrance, it is a reminder that the dream still needs carriers, that justice still needs voices, that love still needs courage, and that the work is now ours. This is for the dreamer. This is for the queen who guarded the dream. This is for the past that shaped us, and the future still calling us forward. Today we honor Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Two hearts, one movement, one dream, still alive.
They try to bury the dream, but you can't bury truth. Walked through fire with love in his hand, spoke peace to a violent land. Every step they said turn around, but he kept walking anyway. Had a vision bigger than fear, saw tomorrow when it wasn't clear. When the night tried to steal his voice, he still chose to pray. They said hope was too dangerous, that faith was too bold, but heaven was whispering, don't let go. The dream still breathes, it's alive in me, in every years, through the pain, through the chains we broke in His name. You can feel it rise every time love refuses lies. They took the man, but not the flame. No, the dream still breathes. She stood strong when the world went dark, held the light inside her heart. While the cameras faded away, she kept the dream alive. Whoa, raised the children under skies of threat. Still taught them not to hate back yet. When the world asked her to sit and grieve, she chose to rise. They thought silence would end the fight, but love don't die overnight. The dream still breathes, hear it in the streets, every soul still marching for peace. Through the cries, through the prayers lifted to the sky. The dream still breathes, oh, it won't fade away. Not as long as truth has a name. They took the man, but not the flame. No, the dream still breathes. The dream still breathes. This wasn't just a moment. This was a movement. A movement. Not built on anger. A movement. But anchored in love. If I stand for justice, if I choose what's right, then His dream is walking through my life. The dream still breathes, building out, rising up, breaking from the past to today, to the children finding their way. The dream still breathes, lift your voice. Every generation has a choice. They took the manna, but not the flame. The dream still breathes. The dream still breathes. As long as love still speaks, the dream will never die.
Chapter 1. When the dream was still a whisper before the world ever heard a speech, before microphones echoed his name, before crowds gathered and history took notes, there was a whisper. A quiet stirring in the soul of a young black boy growing up in the South, in a nation that preached freedom but practiced exclusion. Martin Luther King Jr. was not born famous. He was born observant, born watching his father stand tall in a world designed to bend black men low, born hearing sermons not just spoken, but lived, born learning early that dignity was not something you begged for. It was something you carried. Yet even as a child, Martin felt the contradiction. He saw signs that told him where he could not sit, where he could not eat, where he could not drink. He saw doors closed not because of behavior, but because of skin. And somewhere in that contradiction, a question formed, a question that would haunt him for the rest of his life. How can a nation built on liberty deny it to so many? That question became the seed of the dream. The weight of calling is not glamorous at first. It does not arrive with applause. It arrives with discomfort. Martin was intelligent, brilliant even. He could have chosen safety. He could have chosen comfort. He could have chosen a quiet life of scholarship and sanctuary. But calling does not ask what is convenient. Calling asks what is necessary. And every time he tried to ignore that inner pull, it returned, stronger. Because some people are not born for peace alone, they are born to confront injustice without becoming it. That was the tension that lived inside him. How do you fight hatred without becoming hateful? How do you confront violence without reproducing it? How do you challenge power without losing your soul? Those were not academic questions, they were spiritual ones. Love as resistance. What made Martin dangerous to the system was not his voice, it was his method. He did not preach revenge, he did not teach domination, he did not call for blood, he called for love. And love, real love, has always terrified oppressive systems. Because love refuses to obey fear. Love exposes injustice without mirroring it. Love disarms cruelty by refusing to participate in it. Love forces the oppressor to confront themselves. This is why he was watched, why he was followed, why his phone was tapped, why threats came daily. Because bullets can stop bodies, but love spreads faster than fear when the dream met its keeper. But no dream survives alone, and behind the man wrestling with purpose stood a woman with her own calling, Coretta Scott King. Before she was known to the world, she was a gifted musician, trained, disciplined, visionary. She too could have chosen a quieter life, but destiny has a way of aligning souls. Their meeting was not coincidence, it was convergence. Two people bound not just by affection, but by assignment. Coretta understood early that loving Martin meant loving the movement, that marriage would not mean safety, it would mean sacrifice, that nights would be interrupted by fear, that children would grow up under threat, that grief would one day knock without warning. And still, she stayed, not because she was weak, but because she was strong enough to carry what others could not. The cost before the crown history often shows us the victory, but rarely the cost. It does not show the sleepless nights, the strain on the home, the exhaustion of leadership, the moments of doubt. There were nights Martin questioned himself, nights when the weight felt unbearable, nights when the fear felt louder than faith. And it was in those moments, when the cameras were gone, that Coretta's strength mattered most. Not with speeches, not with headlines, but with presence. Sometimes the greatest resistance is simply refusing to let someone fall apart. The dream takes its first steps. When the movement began to rise, it did not look like a movement. It looked like ordinary people choosing courage, a decision to walk instead of ride, to stand instead of submit, to believe that dignity was not negotiable. The dream did not begin with thunder, it began with footsteps. Footsteps echoing down streets that had never heard defiance spoken so softly, and yet so powerfully. Men, women, children, walking not in rage but in resolve. That was the moment the whisper became a voice, a dream bigger than one life. Martin understood something early, that he might not live to see the fullness of the dream. But he believed something even deeper. That purpose is not measured by longevity, but by legacy. That a life poured out for justice never truly ends. Because when one voice awakens many, the echo lasts longer than the speaker. And when tragedy eventually came, when the unthinkable happened, the dream did not collapse. Because Coretta stood, she marched, she spoke, she organized, she carried forward what grief could have buried. She refused to let the dream become a memorial. She made it a movement. The question that remains today, we honor them. But this chapter asks something of us. Because remembrance without responsibility is empty. The dream was not meant to be admired, it was meant to be continued. And the question is no longer what Martin would do. The question is, what will we do with the dream now resting in our hands? Because the dream still breathes. Not in monuments, not in holidays alone, not in quotes repeated once a year. It breathes in choices, in courage, in compassion, in how we treat one another when no one is watching. The whisper has become a call, and the call is still alive. Music swells slowly. This was the beginning. The dream was only just awakening.
Before the march, before the microphone, before the world was listening, there was a whisper. He was just a boy with questions in his eyes, wondering why freedom had conditions and lines. Saw signs on the wall say you don't belong, but something in his spirit said that can't be God. Mama said, stand tall, don't lose your grade. Oh, Daddy showed him power, don't bow to hate. Every scar turned into a prayer, every tear said there's more out there. He didn't know the road ahead, didn't know the price he paid, but heaven kept whispering, walk anyway. Before the dream had a name, before the crowd, before the flame, there was a fire deep inside that wouldn't let truth stay quiet. Before the dream filled the sky, before the world learned why love was stronger than the pain. Yeah. Before the dream had a name. She had music in her soul, strength in her walk, knew love was more than the way you talk. When their worlds collided, faith stood still. Two hearts said yes to a higher will. They knew the road wouldn't be kind, still chose purpose over peace of mind. When fear knocked loud at the door, faith said we were made for more. They didn't know history would call, but love said, stand, don't fall. If I choose love when it's hard, if I stand when I'm afraid, then maybe I'm walking the same first step he made. Before the dream, before the dream had a name, it lived in pain, oh, it lived in hearts refused and chained. It lived in love that stayed. Before the dream shook the ground, yeah, there was a whisper, barely sound. Now it's calling us the same. step.
Chapter 2: When the Dream Met Resistance. Every dream is welcome until it begins to threaten comfort. The moment hope starts to move, opposition awakens. Because injustice does not fear silence, it fears momentum. And when the whisper of the dream became a voice, the world did not applaud. It pushed back. The price of speaking. At first, the resistance was subtle: closed doors, dismissive headlines, warnings dressed as advice. Slow down. Be patient. Now is not the time. Those words were not meant to guide, they were meant to delay. But delay has always been injustice's favorite weapon. Because every generation told to wait is another generation forced to suffer. And Martin understood something early, that waiting for justice often means waiting forever. When courage becomes dangerous. As the movement grew, so did the scrutiny. Phones were tapped, meetings were monitored, every step recorded. The same nation that preached liberty feared a man preaching love, because love, when it demands equality, becomes revolutionary. Martin was no longer just a pastor. He was labeled agitator, troublemaker, threat, not because he called for violence, but because he refused submission. And the truth became clear. You do not have to be wrong to be punished. You only have to challenge power. The home was no longer safe. Resistance did not stay in the streets. It followed them home. Threatening letters arrived daily. Anonymous voices called through the night. Death promises delivered with casual cruelty. One night, a bomb exploded near their home. Glass shattered. Neighbors panicked. Children cried. And in that moment, the movement became painfully personal. This was no longer theoretical. This was not ideology. This was survival. Yet even then, Martin stood before the crowd, angry, afraid, ready to erupt, and spoke words that stunned the nation. He urged calm. He preached restraint. He chose love when rage would have been easier. That moment revealed something rare: leadership that refuses to be shaped by fear. Coretta's silent battlefield. While the world watched Martin, another battle raged quietly. Coretta carried the invisible weight, raising children under constant threat, maintaining strength while fear sat at the dinner table, smiling publicly while privately preparing for loss. She did not march every street, but she marched every night, through worry, through exhaustion, through uncertainty, and yet she never asked him to stop. Not because she lacked fear, but because she understood purpose. Some battles are not chosen, they are inherited by love, jail cells, and broken myths. When Martin was jailed, the illusion shattered. That righteousness alone protects you, it does not. Truth-tellers are rarely shielded, they are tested. From cramped cells he wrote words that would outlive his chains. He spoke of justice delayed, of moral responsibility, of the danger of moderates who preferred order over equity. Those words were not comfortable, they were confrontational, and they remain unsettling because they still apply. Resistance does not only wear hoods, sometimes it wears silence. The movement finds its backbone. With every arrest, every attack, every attempt to break their resolve, something unexpected happened. The movement grew stronger. Students stood up. Workers walked out. Churches opened their doors. People who had been afraid found courage by watching others endure. Pain became fuel. Oppression, exposure. Because there is something powerful about watching someone suffer without surrendering their soul. That kind of courage spreads. Love under fire. Still, the question lingered. How long can love survive under attack? How many blows can faith absorb? Martin wrestled with doubt, not publicly but privately. There were nights when fear felt louder than conviction, when exhaustion whispered surrender, when the weight pressed too hard. And yet, each morning he rose, not because he was fearless, but because he believed that surrender would cost more than resistance. The truth about resistance. Resistance is not just opposition from enemies. It is fatigue. It is isolation. It is betrayal. It is misunderstanding. It is watching allies fall silent. It is hearing critics twist your intent. It is carrying the blame for tension you did not create. Resistance tests not your popularity, but your integrity. And through it all, the dream refused to retreat. The fire that could not be put out. They tried intimidation. They tried humiliation. They tried violence. But they underestimated one thing. You cannot intimidate a man who has already decided his life belongs to something bigger. And you cannot silence a movement that has learned how to suffer without surrender. Because when injustice reveals its cruelty, it also reveals its weakness. The turning point. By now, the dream was no longer a whisper, it was a demand not for privilege, but for humanity. A demand not rooted in anger, but anchored in moral clarity. The resistance had sharpened the message, and the movement stood at a crossroads, retreat or rise higher. What came next would shake the world. But first, the dream had to pass through the fire. Music slowly swells, because every dream worth carrying is tested before it transforms history. And this one was just getting started.
They said be quiet. They said wait your turn. They said peace meant silence, but silence was never justice. They watched every step he made, marked his name, tried to break his faith. Said fall in line, don't cause a scene, but chains don't loosen quietly. Letters came in the dead of night, threats whispered beneath porch lights. But when fear knocked at the door, love said, I've been here before. They tried to shake his ground, try to burn his sound, but truth don't drown. They tried to silence the dream, but it got louder every time they screamed. Every scar turned into light. Every wrong still stood for right. They tried to silence the dream with fear, with hate, with gasoline. But you can't kill what heaven sent. No, the dream won't bend. Jail cell walls couldn't hold his voice. Iron bars still hurt the joy. When justice knocked, he answered brave. Freedom don't need permission to be saved. She held the house when the world shook hard. Raised hope in a guardian. While the headlines called his name, she carried strength without the fame. But faith stood tall. They tried to silence the dream with lies dressed up as peace, with not right now and wait your turn, while another generation burned. They tried to through the streets. You can cage a man in chains, but you can't cage a flame.
Oppression always calls itself order until truth exposes it.
If I stand when I'm afraid, if I speak though I may break, then I'm walking the same road that made the dream away.
They try to
silence
the dream,
but it rose in you and me. From the cell to the streets, from the prayer to the beach, they try to silence the dream, but it multiplied through pain. They took the comfort, not the cause. They lost control, not the flame. Yeah, the dream still stands. Ooh, the dream still stands. You don't stop a movement by trying to mute the truth.
Chapter 3. When the dream became a movement. There comes a moment in every struggle when courage stops living in one voice and begins echoing in many. That moment is called a movement. Up until now, the dream had a messenger. Now it found a people. Because oppression can intimidate individuals, but it cannot control a collective awakening. The shift. No one could stop something changed. Not in government offices, not in courtrooms, not in headlines. It changed in kitchens, in church basements, in classrooms and barbershops, in whispered conversations that turned into decisions. People who had been afraid began asking different questions. Not, is it safe? But is it right? Not what will happen to me, but what happens if I do nothing? That is how movements are born, not through speeches alone, but through conscience awakening. Ordinary people, extraordinary courage. There were no superhumans marching. There were mothers with tired feet, fathers who had already lost too much, students who refused to inherit silence, grandparents who had waited long enough. Some wore suits, some wore work boots, some carried babies, some carried memories. But they walked anyway, because dignity had finally become non-negotiable. Faith became the foundation. The movement did not rise on anger, it rose on faith. Churches became organizing centers. Pews became planning rooms, hymns became battle cries. Prayer was no longer private, it was collective. Faith was no longer abstract, it was activated. People knelt on Sunday and stood on Monday. And something powerful happened when belief met bravery. Nonviolence was not weakness. Many misunderstood the strategy. They called it passive. They called it naive. They called it unrealistic. But nonviolence was not submission. It was discipline. It required strength not to strike back. It required courage not to return hatred. It required mastery of self. To absorb brutality without becoming brutal is one of the highest forms of power. The movement was not built on reaction. It was built on conviction. The world begins to watch. As cameras rolled, the nation saw something it could no longer ignore. Children attacked by fire hoses, peaceful marchers beaten, faces calm in the midst of chaos. The contrast told the truth without a single word spoken. Oppression exposed itself, and America was forced to look in the mirror. The movement did not need to shout. Reality spoke loudly enough. Coretta's voice rises. As the movement expanded, so did Coretta's role. She was no longer just standing beside history, she was shaping it. She spoke when Martin traveled. She organized when others hesitated. She reminded the world that the struggle was not only racial, it was moral. Her voice carried both grace and gravity. She reminded people that justice without compassion was incomplete, that equality without love would never heal a nation, and people listened. Fear could not outrun hope. The more they tried to suppress the movement, the wider it spread. Every arrest created 10 new leaders. Every threat awakened more resolve. Every act of cruelty multiplied support. Fear had lost control because hope had found momentum. And once hope starts moving, it does not stop easily. The dream leaves the pulpit. The dream was no longer confined to sermons. It marched through streets, it crossed bridges, it sat at lunch counters, it filled jails, it traveled from the South to the conscience of the world. This was no longer one man's vision. This was collective ownership. The dream had learned how to walk. A new understanding of power. The movement taught something revolutionary, that power does not come from dominance, it comes from unity. That laws change when people insist, that systems shift when conscience is awakened, that moral clarity can bend history. The movement did not beg. It demanded recognition of what already should have been, human dignity. The cost continued. But make no mistake, movement does not erase danger. Threats intensified, pressure increased. The weight grew heavier. Martin knew the road ahead would not end gently. He spoke of it openly, yet still he marched forward, because some lives are not measured by survival, but by significance. The dream now belonged to everyone. Something irreversible had happened. The dream was no longer fragile. It no longer depended on one heartbeat. It lived in thousands, in millions, in every person who decided that silence was no longer an option, that injustice would no longer be normalized, that love could still lead. The legacy is born. Movements outlive their founders. That is their power. They become larger than names, larger than moments, larger than fear. And even when tragedy would later strike, the movement would not collapse, because the dream had already been transferred, from voice to voices, from leader to people, from moment to mission. Music slowly swells. This was the turning point, the moment history shifted direction, the moment the dream stopped being imagined and started being lived. And from this point forward, nothing would ever be the same.
It wasn't just a voice anymore. It was footsteps.
Started in the shadows, quiet prayers, kitchen tables, folding chairs, whispers turn to we can't wait. Hope said, now's the day. From the pulpit to the street, every heart found rhythm beat. They try to say you're all alone, but freedom found a home. When one stood, two stood tall. When one fell, we rose all. The dream started walking down every broken road, from one brave voice to a million souls. The dream started walking through fear, through fire, through pain. When the people stood together, the dream found its name. Mothers marching with tired feet, hearts on flame. Different faces, same refrain. Oh, no crowns, no thrones claim, just dignity that couldn't be chained. They said go back, know your place, but hope don't know. That's every prayer became a plan. Every tear said yes we can. Multiplied, yeah. If I walk for my children, if I stand for what's right, then the dream keeps moving through my life. The dream started walking. Hear the rhythm in the street. Testimony, every breath believes it. Started walking, and it's still on its way from yesterday's march to today. It's walking now. It's walking now. It's walking now. It's walking now. When the people rise, the street is now. When the people rise, history listens. Why the people rise, history listens.
Closing narration. The dream is now ours. As the music fades and the voices grow quiet, we arrive not at an ending but at a responsibility, because the dream was never meant to live only in the past, it was meant to live in us. We've heard how it began, as a whisper in the heart of a young boy who believed the world could be better. We've felt how it was tested through threats, chains, fear, and fire, and we've witnessed how it grew when ordinary people chose courage over comfort and unity over silence. But now the question stands before us, not as history, but as destiny. What happens to the dream after the songs stop playing? The truth is this: dreams do not die when leaders fall. They die when people forget their assignment. And Martin Luther King Jr. understood this. That is why he never asked to be remembered. He asked to be continued. He did not call for admiration. He called for participation. And Coretta Scott King understood it too. That is why she did not allow grief to turn the dream into a monument. She turned it into a movement. She carried it forward with grace, with discipline, with love that refused to surrender. She taught us that legacy is not about how long you live, but how far your courage travels after you're gone. Today, the world looks different. Some doors have opened, some laws have changed, some progress has been made, but the dream is not complete. Because justice is not a moment, it is a commitment, and freedom is not inherited automatically, it must be protected intentionally. Every generation is given a choice to benefit from the sacrifices of the past or to dishonor them through indifference. The dream does not ask us to march the same streets. It asks us to walk with the same spirit. It does not ask us to repeat the words. It asks us to live the values, to speak truth, even when it's uncomfortable, to choose love, even when hatred feels easier, to stand for dignity, even when silence feels safer. That is the real inheritance. Martin once said that the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice. But what history doesn't always say clearly is this: that arc does not bend on its own. It bends because someone pushes, because someone prays, because someone speaks, because someone refuses to look away, because someone chooses courage again and again and again. And now, that someone is us. The dream lives in how we teach our children, in how we treat our neighbors, in how we respond to difference, in how we confront injustice without becoming it. It lives in every moment where love is chosen deliberately. So as you leave this tribute, do not leave with nostalgia, leave with purpose. Carry the dream into your conversations, into your communities, into your classrooms, into your faith, into your actions. Because the dream does not need more listeners, it needs carriers. Music swells gently. Today we honored the past, but tomorrow we become the proof. The dream still breathes, not because of who they were, but because of who we decide to be. And as long as love still rises, as long as courage still answers, as long as hope still walks forward, the dream will never die. Soft pause. This was for Martin, this was for Coretta, and now, this is for you.
The dream didn't end with them. It was handed to us.
They walked the road before our time, paid the cost, drew the line, so we could stand here free today, still searching for a better way. Their voices echo through the years, through every prayer, through every tear. They didn't give us perfect peace. They lit the flame and trusted us to keep it burning. Say lives now, feel it in your hands. Every hope they carried lives where we stand. The dream is now ours. Don't let it fall. What they started in faith is calling us all.
Not written, only in history. Not framed in memory. It lives in how we choose to love, in what we're brave enough to rise above.
Justice
Still needs a voice.
hope still
Needs a choice.
every time we stand for right. The dream survives the night.
They show the way, but we decide.
If it continues,
The dream is now ours.
we can't look away. Silence is the cost of letting it fade.
The dream is now ours.
From the past to tomorrow, if we don't carry the light, we inherit the sorrow. A dream only lives when someone chooses to live it.
If I love when it's hard, if I stand when it's tough, then the dream keeps breathing through us.
If I love when it's hard, if I stand when it's tough,
Then the dream keeps breathing through us.
if I love, if I stand, then the dream keeps breathing through us.
The dream is now ours.
Lift it high, let it roll. carry it forward.